Also, funny thing, that message I got on my phone as I was recording, turns out it was the stuff for the things I'm gonna make mold and cast the shoes in. I didn't know it was coming today, so that was a nice surprise. Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how I turned this into this, and then finally into one of these. That's right, I'm going to show you guys how you can make the best shoes for your TASM 2 cosplay. Now this method could be used for any other Spider-Man suit or maybe non-Spider-Man suit, but I found just the way I did it, it works best for this particular costume design. To start things off, I had commissioned Sensational Spidey to model the TASM 2 sole and an insole. I was going to use the insole as a sort of template to help me make the boot that I was going to, put inside the suit, but I ended up finding something better, so I ended up not using it. But you guys out there could totally use that insole part as the red section that sandwiches between the boot and the sole. There's like a little red insert. You can totally use that for that and like mold it and cast it in red urethane rubber. I just chose not to because I was lazy. Anyways, I adjusted the file to my shoe size by measuring the sole of the shoe I was going to use and adjusted it in Cura. I also split it in half because I just don't trust my printer to print tall things, let alone thin and light tall things. But if you have a printer at home that you totally trust with this kind of stuff, go ahead and print it on that. It is just my preference. After it printed, I welded the two pieces together using a hot knife and got to prepping. To prep the soles, I originally really went all out on trying to smooth it out. This time around, I used wood filler instead of filler spot putty. Basically filling spots, sanding it, hitting it with filler primer, filling again, sanding it, even more filler primer, and then finally hitting it with matte black spray paint. Also, a little note for you guys out there, don't let your can of filler primer and your 3D print sit outside in 100-degree weather for too long, because this will happen. The filler primer clumped up all over this thing, and it just melted, shrunk, and deformed everything. So yeah, don't do that. So because of that, I had to rush an entire sole out, which caused it to not be as good as I hoped it would. But it's going on the bottom of my foot, really, like, who cares? After both soles were done, to the best of my ability in a very rushed circumstance that I put myself in, it was time to get to molding them in silicone and casting them in urethane. To mold the soles, I used Smooth-On's Umu 30 silicone mold maker. However, I was recommended Smooth-On's Mold Max 14 NV by Matthew DC to avoid air bubbles. And then to cast the soles, I used Smooth-On's KX Flex 60 urethane rubber and So Strong black tint. I also got some universal mold release, but forgot to use it half the time. Using the Amazon box that I got with the silicone, I made a box mold for the silicone. I glued down the soles to the cardboard and got ready to pour in the silicone. Using these mixing cups, I poured in even amounts of part A and part B and mixed for around 30 minutes. Not 30 minutes, Jesus, 3 minutes, my God. Then it was time to pour the silicone over the 3D printed soles. I ended up making 3 batches, 2 smaller ones to cover as much of the soles as possible, and then the last large one just to fill up the molds. Then it was time to wait for the molds to cure. I believe it was around 6 hours for the full cure time. And then after curing was done, it was time to remove the silicone molds from the box molds. And this is where I realized I f***ed up. I realized I needed to put glue around each hole on the sole so that silicone wouldn't seep under the sole. It's a lot of old rhyming, Jesus. So because of that, a lot of the smaller pieces of the mold got ripped off the silicone and just got stuck under the 3D print. Now, I totally could have just done another silicone mold and like made sure the holes were glued around or even used clay to like stop it from seeping under, but I decided I already spent way too much on just doing this particular section of the suit, so I was like, you know what, f it. Again, it's going to be under my foot. No one's going to be really looking at that often, and also just the mold was just very much still usable. Like, it was perfectly fine, it just didn't have every hole, so I just decided to go with it. So to start the casting process, I first put some part B into a mixing cup with some tint, enough so that it can make the part B fully black.
and then afterwards I poured in some part A. Then I stirred as fast and as evenly as I could and quickly tried to pour in the urethane to each mold. I had to work fast because I got the fast curing urethane. And after it cured for about an hour, I demolded it. So I actually had to do this around 3 times because the first time I didn't put enough tint in it, so it kind of came out semi-transparent. Like I could clearly see through this when the light hits it. So I didn't add enough tint to it. And then the second time was better, but some parts had not been cured correctly. I believe that this one's the right one. The right one had like a little spot where the urethane didn't cure and wouldn't cure after a little while. So I had to do a third one, and the third one for the right shoe turned out great, but the left sole came out all bubbly. I don't know if there was like this weird chemical reaction that happened. I don't remember if I did a separate mix of urethane for this one than I did the right one, but for some reason this one just came out all wonky. So what I ended up doing was I took the left one from the second casting and the right one from the third casting, and it ended up working great. Like both of them looked really good. So I had the soles all done, but now it was time to do the inner shoe. The way I decided to tackle the inner boot shoe thing was actually inspired by the Amazing Spider Lab's TASM 2 shoes. So from what I've seen, the Amazing Spider Lab, they add in like a scuba boot inside the suit. And in my head, that is like amazing because the idea of having a zipper on the side of like a high top like shoe and then like it being neoprene and being able to like flex and stretch around the foot as you put it on just makes everything easier about like shoe systems in Spider-Man suits. Because I don't know about you guys, I kind of struggle with like the standard kung fu shoe or like water shoe that goes into Spider-Man suits because you kind of have to stretch and everything. But with like a high top like shoe, it allows it to just slip over pretty easily. And then, you know, you could zip up the zipper and then zip up the ankle zip that we added to the suit. So because like that was such a great idea, I wanted to add them into my suit, but I wanted a specific design shoe. I didn't just want any sort of like scuba boot. I found that Vans are the closest in shape of these TASM 2 soles. So what I ended up doing was I grabbed my Vans, cling wrap, and duct tape essentially, and then I made a pattern that would transfer to neoprene fabric. And luckily for you guys out there, you can download this pattern for free in the link in the description, or you can get it when you buy the soles from Sensational Spidey's website. To sew the boot together, I started by sewing a zipper on the inner side of the boot, connecting those two pieces. Then I top stitched the zipper parts. And moving on to sewing the other side of the boot to this side. Then I sewed the middle piece's little front part, and then I sewed that to everything else. Last, it was just to sew the bottom to the whole thing and you have a usable shoe. I also added these shoe inserts to give the shoe support, make it more comfortable, and just general stability. Now that we have the boots, it was time just to glue everything together. I put on the boots, then put on the suit, and got prepped to glue the soles on. I used E6000 because it was the only strong glue I had lying around, but I would just recommend using this glue. Spreading it around as best as I could, then adding a line of super glue around the border to keep everything together as the E6000 cures. Once the glue dried, I had working TASM 2 shoes for my suit. Now I think for my first attempt at, casting something in urethane and making my own sort of shoe, I think I did a pretty good job. Like, obviously it's not 100% accurate because I don't have the little red inserts and not all the holes are holes, but I'm still very much proud of what I did, and it looks pretty good from afar. And when I'm in the suit, the shoes look pretty good also. And if I didn't rush myself to try to complete these soles and shoes for this video because I wanted to get this video out as soon as I possibly could. You know, I definitely would have, you know, made more of an effort to get the 3D print smoother and better silicone mold and a better urethane casting, and also added the red inserts. But, you know, for now, this is just going to have to do, and I'm happy with it. And of course, you guys out there watching, you know, if you guys think you can do a better job, go ahead and do a better job than me. You know, this is, you know, this video is just as a sort of intro to how to do it. And if you guys want to improve on how I did it, use a different urethane, use a different silicone, go ahead. I have no problem with that because, you know, I'm an idiot. So me being able to do this was just a miracle on its own. So now that the shoes are done, that should mean that I am basically done with the suit and we can get to the suit reveal and breakdown video, right? Nope. I gotta fix things, I gotta add things, one of them being the web shooters. I still gotta do the web shooters. All of that will be addressed in the next video, which is going to be another just quick update video of everything I've done and adjusted to the suit. Then after that video will be the reveal / breakdown video of everything about this suit. But yeah, this suit will in fact be done by the end of September. I just don't know if the reveal video will be out before the end of September. If anything, I'm hoping to get it out in early October, but if not, then it's just gonna come out when it comes out. I don't know, my schedule's pretty crazy right now, but I will try to get the video out as soon as possible and get started on the next cosplay project whenever I can do that. But till then, I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.
you.